Let's go, buddy. All right. Night-night. Oh, it's too bad they missed that.
Oh, man. Let's see.
All right, everybody's phone.
We are on.
We usually wait a couple of minutes. Part of the fun of doing the pre-show is to let the technology catch up with the people who are now 20 or 30 minutes late, thanks to me. And
yeah, it sure would.
At least I got I don't know. It's fun. I'm just going to call myself real stupid in one of our little segments that didn't make the notes because it happened while they were being produced.
Well, you got to have like a really good excuse, like Mrs. Sherwin was,
non-existent.
Well, there'd have to be a Mrs. Sherwin.
what I'm
maybe
saying.
funnier.
Yeah. What's up, Marianne?
Hey, we were doing the Greg Biffle, Memorial 69. Never mind.
Yeah. I like where you're going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we won't go down that road. We want to keep you guys PG-13, right?
Yeah, it's all good. The main reason, honestly, there was two reasons why we decided to be on the clean side for iTunes. One is speed of entry. It's a faster process, and almost 3 years ago, it just seemed like the right thing to do. And B is I would probably say motherfucker like 15 times, and nobody would want to listen to this.
Yeah, and
so
honestly,
that's my one for the pre-show. It's out, done.
Yeah, and honestly, I know that there are times that I'll say, I'll tweet cuss words or whatnot, but first and foremost, the backlash that I get when I do that it's just not worth it. And second of all, I actually think it's funnier, like when you put the little asterisk in there. when you replace the vowels in a cuss word with the asterisk, it makes me laugh harder than the actual cuss word for some reason.
I'm with you there.
I got a funny response from Ryan McGee when I wrote SH*T, and he was like, "Really?
Yeah. Really? What does that mean?"
Why are we censoring that?
I think when we did the sideshow deal at Texas, they said you can say whatever you want as long as it's PG-13. I'm like, that's probably a pretty fair rule. You don't want to go off on a profanity-laced tirade and just offend everybody. That's no fun. So,
yeah.
Well, in general, NASCAR fans are pretty tolerant of foul language because they use it, but
sure,
nobody wants Reservoir Dogs on their NASCAR podcast.
Yeah, and you never know who's. My kids look over my shoulder all the time when I'm, sitting at the laptop or whatever, and it's you don't know who's looking at it. So I think the cleaner you are, the bigger potential audience you will have. It doesn't mean you can't make an off-color joke every now and then. I certainly make my share of them, but I think staying clean is probably a good idea for you guys.
Let's see. Time to do a little mic check. Rusty. Sherwin, go for it.
Sherwin.
And Mr. Cohn.
I am here. Yes,
good.
I am here.
Let me bring that down just a hair. That looks perfect. Okay, then that's ready. This thing is ready. Show notes are ready. PTM Posse is ready. I see him up there. Hey, everybody. Jeffrey, Brent, Lori, Mick, Marianne.
Did you see more people sign on? I only saw Marianne there for a while.
There's a few. They're doing their little chat thing, having a little fun.
Awesome.
We ready to go?
Why not?
Let's do this. Let me bring up show notes. Let me bring up our theme song. Shoot, I got so much. All right, there's that, and there's that, and Mr. Cohn, you ready?
Whenever you are, let's
rock and roll. This. Here goes. Start recording, and recording now. The PTM podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drinking Club for as little as $1 a month and get that free koozie. The best part is every cent in 2017, we're donating that to sponsoring drivers. Join the PTM posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. And this week's show is brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. That's Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, Jeffrey Whitler, Rick Hamisher, Lori Sutton, Tony Saul, Colby McClam, Eric Kepner, Ryan Kiefer, Marianne Levesque, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Mick Rose, and Steve Jr. III. That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 97 for Thursday, April 27th, 2017. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm joined in the PTM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
I sucked because I was late.
You were late.
Sorry.
What have you been doing?
We'll tell you later.
We'll get into that story in a little bit. Sherwin, we've got a guest on tonight. How about that, huh?
I think a guest that maybe not for the first time, but definitely for the now time is more interesting than we are.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll give you a little lead in here. He's at the leading edge of wherever trouble's brewing. He hangs out at pit lane during every race. He's been beaten. He's been kicked. He's been stolen. But ignore him at your own peril. He is the Orange Cone. What's up, Cone?
Hey, what's happening, boys?
We doing all right.
Getting a little. That's a pretty impressive introduction, right there.
I figured you've got a nice resume, so might as well just read it out a little bit.
I think my ego is big enough as it is, and you guys are certainly pumping it up. So
we'll stroke that for what it's worth.
We've got a
context,
a tube of helium over here in the corner. We just pipe it in.
That's right.
I will tell you. I mean, you just ask anybody. I mean, even my buddy Joe Daddy. I mean, he knows. Go can barely fit in the infield at Talladega. So, you guys keep doing this, and we'll have to maybe move it to Road America or something. I don't know.
Ooh, preview for something we're talking about a little later.
Bigger infield.
Very interesting. Yeah. Speaking of interesting, Mr. Cone, what you drinking today?
Right now, I'm drinking a little Diet Coke. You guys do not want me on anything stronger than that. So,
got a little caffeine flowing, got a little aspartame going. Sherwin.
That's it, babe.
Oh, I'm drinking.
Sherwin stares at me like, what?
What?
What is this segment we've done like 97 times? I'm drinking Terrapin Hopsecutioner, which is an IPA out of Athens, Georgia.
Very nice. I think I've got a local beer here, too. This is, Creature Comforts out of Athens, Georgia as well.
Good God. We're going to go root for Georgia now?
No, sir.
Ugh.
The Athena Berliner Weiss, which...
Ooh, that's one I would stay away from.
It's more of a sour, which I've been getting into lately, and it's tasty if you're into that type of thing. We've already said it, y'all. It is the 97th episode. We get to talk about driver number 97.
Well, we got some pretty serious accolades for a car for the first time in a little while.
Well, constantly referred to by his peers as the best wheelman in NASCAR. 184 races, 14 wins. Mr. Kurt Busch. A little math there. That's 7.6% of the races that he won, so around 3 every year.
You know what? That's 7.6% more races than I win per year. So that's pretty good.
I'm not impressed, boys. I'm not impressed.
Not impressed. Not impressed with Kurt or our winning percentage.
Both. You guys suck.
Well, that's part of it. You know.
Yeah.
You guys sometimes got to just kind of trudge through the mud a little bit.
I think that's the record timing for a guest telling us that we suck.
Yeah, hit the stopwatch. What was that? 5.5 minutes?
Right.
Yeah, 4 minutes and 6 seconds. I think NASCAR Chasm might have been more like 5 minutes and a half.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice. Well, he usually says he sucks.
Well, that's
good
true.
point.
Yeah.
We've got Chad Little, 128 races in that John Deere Pontiac.
I remember
97.
the name and I remember the paint scheme. It was pretty cool paint scheme.
What you need to remember, boys, with Chad Little is the mullet.
Yes.
Oh.
Best mullet in NASCAR.
Damn,
that thing,
we might have to post a picture of that.
Maybe so. That thing was, when I was looking up stats and stuff, I went and I wanted to see what his car looked like. And most certainly that was the first thing that I was like, oh, yeah, the mullet.
Man.
Let's see. Who else? Henley Gray, 119 races. Bill Amick, 33 races with 1 win. And with 2 wins in 8 races, Mr. Parnelli Jones. How about that, Sherwin?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, here's a
Crossover.
trivia question for you guys.
Uh-oh.
What was Parnelli's real first name?
Parnelli Jones's real first name.
You
what?
stumped me.
Yeah,
I don't
not
even,
a clue.
I don't even have a chance.
All right. I'm not going to answer it. We'll let a listener answer that.
Oh, man.
sounds
All right.
good.
All right. Well, let's see what we got coming in the Sherwin, you monitoring the YouTube live?
I am now.
Okay.
I'm
all
on.
right. So we'll have that. That's a great little trivia question for us there. So, but yeah, there's a 97 car. Let's see. The elephant in the room. I don't know if we can. I mean,
we're gonna knock it out right now. All right, let's do
I
it.
mean,
Might as well.
The
we
big
get it.
pink K2 in the room, is that it?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The same one.
Yeah.
The 700-pound gorilla, I think they sometimes refer to it as.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Ralph.
Again, we already talked about my ego, guys.
Well, I mean, we put helium in there, so it doesn't weigh a lot. It just takes up a lot of space.
True.
This is true.
Mr. Ralph Dale Earnhardt Jr. the second.
EE2.
Yeah, hanging up the fire suit after 2017.
I thought it was immediately. What the hell? We got a whole year yet to go.
Right?
Yeah, we got like 20, however many races?
26?
28?
Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Arithmetic's hard.
There's so much to go with this, so I'm trying to break it down into like a few questions and stuff. Mr. Cohn, take us away. Were you surprised by this announcement?
No. Honestly, I can't believe that he. When I thought about it, I couldn't believe that he kind of came back. But the more I thought about it, makes perfect sense. Let's think about. And I'm going to be real serious here rather than being a jackass for a little while. But
Sure.
In 2001, he lost his father, arguably the most legendary badass in the history of NASCAR racing. The one thing Dale Earnhardt never got to do was step away from the sport on his own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And when Junior was hurt last year, I was really surprised he didn't just say, you know what, I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. But the more I think about it, it makes perfect sense for him to come back and put all of the time and effort and recover from those injuries to come back and say, you know what, I've done this, and now I can do something that Dad didn't get to do, and I can go on my own terms. And it makes perfect sense. He's been competitive. He's done everything that he has ever wanted to do as a driver. He's got 26 wins, 2 Daytona 500s. He's the most popular driver probably in the history of the sport. What else does he have to do? I mean, he's got more money than the next 3 generations of Earnhardts will ever be able to spend. Why risk it? And I think that's the decision that makes the most sense. And I wish him nothing but the best, man. And I honestly, this is the new normal, guys. We're not going to see guys like Mark Martin and Richard Petty and Darrell Waltrip racing into their mid 50s because these guys just don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Those guys had bills to pay, man. I mean, DW, as much as I loved him, he stayed a few years longer than he probably should have because he had to recover from the failure of his own personal race team. He had to get out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
So he had to do it. A guy like Mark Martin, I don't really know what drove Mark. I mean, obviously he's a big, very competitive dude and loves the sport, but he could have retired at any time. But I think, the Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr. retire in your late 30s, early 40s. That's going to be the new normal from now on.
What? So you said I'll play a slight devil's advocate here because one of the things you said, what else does he have to do? And I think
I know what you're going to say.
There's the elephant in the room. So I don't even have to
Yep.
say it because the fans of this podcast know it. What are your thoughts on that?
Does his legacy depend on winning a championship?
No.
I don't think so. I really don't. I was talking with another friend of mine today, and he was like, well, to me, when you talk about elite race car drivers, you get into that 40-win zone. And obviously Dale's a little short of that 40-win zone.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that a championship at this point in his career is going to define him. He could win the championship this year, and I don't think that's what he would be known for. I think he would be known for Daytona and Talladega and the Dirty Mo Posse and all of the other things that he has done that has made. I think the championship would almost be an afterthought in the legacy of Dale Earnhardt Jr. at this point. So would it be nice? I mean, hell yeah, it would. I mean, that's the whole point of this whole exercise is to go out there and be a champion. But if it doesn't happen, I don't think he loses a second of sleep over it. I really don't.
Sherwin, surprised? Not surprised?
Not surprised. The shock value still exists. 2 points for me. Almost, I think it's better in some weird way in my mind that he didn't win a championship to let people know how hard that is to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I would add about his recovery and decision to come back and race is if I had to guess, if I got to have a beer on the top floor of the treehouse with Junior, I bet he would say that it was just as much about his fans as it was about himself getting prepared to come back and race.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there's there's that old Bill Engvall joke that you and I say sometimes where you take the dog in to get neutered and the dog his reaction is, "Oh, dang, I knew this was going to happen."
Right.
And that was kind of my reaction was, "Oh, dang it, I knew this was going to happen." I think you said it well, though. The sort of shock value, the thought that there's not going to be Dale Earnhardt Jr. running around on the racetrack, that's a harder pill to swallow for me than probably the more recent announcements and retirees that we've had. But then the more I sit there and think about it, the more I think that away. I just got some goosebumps just thinking. You know what? Dale Jr. said, and there's been plenty of people say it, but I'm not quitting. I'm leaving the driver's seat on my own terms here. And Cone said it, and you said it, and I really respect that a lot. That he's sort of proven to himself, I've beaten this thing. The track, Michigan didn't take this from me, and now I get to do it on my own terms. That's mad respect right there. So I would say it was going to be surprising whenever he did it. I couldn't have told you it was going to be this week or whatever, or that it would have been this year. Maybe it'd be next year. Maybe it'd be the year after that. Everybody knows it's coming eventually.
Well, I think,
and soon eventually, I should say. Everybody's going to retire eventually, but soon eventually we knew something there. But I wonder if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago who's going to announce first, Jimmy Johnson or Dale Jr. I don't know if I'd have said Jr.
I probably would, but so
Maybe.
what I would add to that is, despite the fact that there's a ton of his fans are sort of mourning this decision, we all have to be aware, if we're paying enough attention to Junior, the body language, the way he talks, the things that he says, like you said, this shouldn't surprise you. By all means, be shocked, because it is Junior.
Yep.
And it's a big change. It's something that we haven't seen in 20 years in terms of him being on the racetrack, although we will get to see him some kind of part-time stuff. I think the thing that I see in this is there's two things. There's anxiety lifted. We don't have to worry about when this announcement is going to occur. We don't have to worry about, okay, the rest of the races are on our schedule. Is that the last time we're going to see Junior or no? Now we know. You get to show up and say, I'm going to enjoy this race for a reason completely different than I would normally, which is I'm going to enjoy this as being last time I'll see Dale Jr. race on this racetrack. I think that's a big part of it. And two is I think we're going to see more Junior than we ever have around racing, podcasting, Twitter, just being fun Junior always. We might not ever see like disappointed Junior again.
That's a good point. Mr. Cone, what's this mean for NASCAR? Are we doomed? Is this the end of days?
You know, I had a couple of different trains of thought, and the first one, you know, yeah, it's going to be a big change to not have a Dale Earnhardt, because there's still going to be an Earnhardt around. Jeffrey's he's still around, and he's, you know, granted he's not in a top level ride, but the Earnhardt family is still going to be around and still going to be on the racetrack, but not having Dale Earnhardt or Dale Earnhardt Jr. I mean, it's a date. We're basically are going back to 1978 when, you know, there hasn't been Dale Earnhardt or Dale Earnhardt Jr. as a full-time, you know, I know that there are injuries involved and he sat out races and whatnot, but we're going to go back to 1978 when, you know, before Earnhardt Sr.'s rookie year. So that's a good long time. That's almost as old as me. But you know what? Here's another way to frame it. You know, NASCAR started in 1949, or excuse me, no, 1947. And from 1947 until the end of 2007, there was a petty at virtually every event on the schedule for, what's that, 50 or 60 years? Something. My math sucks. That's a long damn time.
It's a long damn time.
And when, you know, Lee Petty was, you know, kind of forced into retirement by injury back in the 60s, his son Richard carried on the torch, when Richard retired in 1992, the sun came up the very next day.
Yeah, sure did.
And NASCAR continued right on. And when Kyle left the sport, as a driver, granted he didn't have the same footprint that his father did, but Kyle is still a wonderful guy and a wonderful ambassador to the sport and a great personality, and the sport carried on just fine. And it's going to suck not having Dale Jr. on the racetrack, but I don't see a huge impact in the races themselves. I'm sure that there are going to be some people who maybe don't tune in, kind of like the Tiger Woods factor, when he's not playing in the Masters or, is in the Masters but not very competitive. The ratings aren't quite the same. Maybe you'll see a little bit of that. But, if I'm talking to a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan and they're all really upset about Earnhardt stepping out, and I know that there are a couple that I see regularly that are just really despondent about this whole thing. I'm going to go back to 1988 and my favorite race car driver of all time, Bobby Allison. And Bobby was just about killed at Pocono, and his career was cut short that day. And then in 1993, his son was killed in a helicopter crash. Yep. And you know what? I would have loved to have had a year to say goodbye to Bobby Allison as a fan. I would have loved to have had a year to say goodbye to Davey Allison as a fan. And you know what? Yeah, it sucks that your driver retires. But you know what? As a fan of that driver, you should be tickled pink that he is going out with what's left of his health, and he's going out on his terms, and you still get to see him 28 more times. These people who are losing their flipping minds over this, it's like I want to shake them. I want to shake some sense into them, because not every driver gets it. Dale's dad didn't get that, and he was arguably, like I said before, the biggest badass in the history of badasses in this sport, and he didn't get a farewell tour.
Yeah,
so turn off the tears. It's nonsense. Like I said, the sun's going to come up every day between now and next February. And we'll be okay. We really will. And like you guys said, Junior's not going away. He's ensconced in this deal. He is going to be very visible for a very, very long time.
And I couldn't help but compare it a little bit to the Carl Edwards deal too. And I think that's a very poignant point about the farewell tour that you get, and people knowing that this is the last time I get to see somebody on the track. And maybe that's what I was missing from the Carl Edwards retirement announcement too, because I've been wrestling with that for quite a while as a tangential fan of Carl Edwards, probably my number 2 or 3 or something, but always the bad taste. Like, yeah, I get it, I get what you're doing, I get why, I understand all the points. Just as a fan, I'm just not there. Whereas with Dale Jr., I'm there. I can get there at least within the next eight months or whatever.
Yeah, and I'll say,
the funny thing is, guys, with me, the Carl Edwards thing, having known Carl, I mean, I've got one of those business cards.
Oh man, the famous business cards.
I have one.
Nice.
Yeah, so having known him for the past basically 15 years, I'm not surprised at all that that's how he did it. And I don't think that is a slap in the face to any of his fans. I don't think it's a slap in the face to his team or his sponsors. I just think that that's how Carl is, and he's like, you know what, I came as close as I've come to winning this championship, and I wasn't able to make it happen, and I'm getting older, and I got these kids, and I got this beautiful wife, and I've got other things that I want to do, and I'm happy with this. And my goals are accomplished. I think Carl is, and it's funny because people are always trying to read in all these extra things. What does this really mean? Carl said he's stepping away. Carl's one of the most genuine dudes that you're ever going to meet. I think it's going to, Rick Hendrick, if he wants him in the 88, or I'm guessing it's going to go back to the 25. But if Rick really, really wants Carl in there, he's going to have to come up off the wallet in a big way, because it's going to take something big, really big, to lure Carl Edwards back into this deal.
I'm not sure if money could do it.
I don't think it could either, honestly.
Yeah.
I really don't. It would have to be something like, we'll make you partners in the car dealership business, so you're set for perpetuity, something like that.
Yeah.
It would have to be really, really big. I think when Carl says he's he wants to go pursue other things. It's because he wants to go pursue other things. He's not somebody that kind of speaks in code. He's always pretty upfront with people.
So we've got really the young guns now that are coming up through. Sherwin, I think you made a great point the other day too. I mean, people are talking about Chase, of course, and that sort of legend of a family, or the beginnings of that here. We've talked about Blaney and Larson. You said, guys, don't forget, Joey Logano isn't 30 years old yet.
He's barely 27.
Right. So
hey, and let's also think about this, guys. How old's Kyle Busch?
Kyle Busch is 31.
Yeah, he's not an old man.
He's
either,
5 years younger than me.
Yeah,
he's been around for. I first saw Kyle Busch race in a truck in 2001. So he's been around 16 years now.
Yeah,
and he's 31.
Yeah,
so he's probably got another 12 to 14 years of this before he calls it a career himself. So, he's still a young gun. He's already a champion. And, he's well on his way to 200 race wins too, right, guys? So,
well, that's a goal of his. I mean, he's not going away until he gets 200.
It's
he'll be racing
the meaningless goal of the week award. But, yeah, he's still a young gun when you think about it. And Logano is a guy that's, that's one of the things that I really don't get is the hate for Joey Logano. He's like the nicest, most polite guy in the world. He drives the crap out of that car every week. He doesn't ask for anything on the racetrack. He doesn't give anything on the racetrack. What's not to like? I don't get it.
Welcome to the club. I think we're signed on.
Well, we turned around, though.
We used to call him Joey Last Place. We've joked about this probably every 10th or 12th podcast.
Yep.
That because all the hype and everything, it's easy to if you don't know anything about the guy personally, then it's easy to make fun of.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy goes through some adversity and has a really unique, weird set of luck. Hate it for Dinger. Who knows what his career could have been in the 22? If that weird thing doesn't happen, Joey never gets a chance at that ride. He has to go back to Xfinity and see what happens next.
Probably win 4 championships.
Well, he probably would have. You're not wrong there, Walter. But and to see how quickly he rose with a little bit of confidence. He had a teammate that wanted him. He had an owner that wanted him, and to put those things together with what he had already learned about racing a stock car to get to where he is today, boy, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And you think Rick Hendrick and Joe Gibbs regret that they let those two drivers go?
Rick Hendrick will never regret a day of his life telling Kyle Busch to get the F out. They had a contract.
I'm not talking about Kyle Busch. I'm talking about Brad.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Although I will agree with you on your previous point.
Yeah, no, I would imagine that Hendrick definitely probably has a little bit of something in the back of his head about signing Mark Martin instead of Brad. It was good for the now for Hendrick, but
it was a very good short-term decision. Long-term, I don't know. I don't know.
I agree. And obviously Brad was looking to get to the next level because he'd already won enough in Xfinity to prove that he was going to be a good racer. But we saw even with Brad, we saw what the learning curve was with him in that 12 car. He was not good in that Penske 12 car.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there were some reasons for that too. It's not that Brad's skills. He was still polishing his skills, but it's not like he was, he wasn't completely out to lunch. But that 12 car never ran as well as the two did, which is why I'm really surprised that the 22 when that team was instituted for the very first time. I was really surprised that it was as competitive as it was because it's like, man, Ryan Newman won some races in that car, but it wasn't like a consistent year in, year out threat to win championships. And, it went
the wheelman
several years without winning at all. And, and then the 22 comes around and boom, instant contender week in and week out. So it was a really strange thing. But I will tell you, the marriage there, the Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Roger Penske combination is just, that is one that I think is going to be when Jimmy Johnson finally decides, and I'm not saying it's going to be sooner than later. I think those are the two that you're going to have to knock off the top of the pedestal every single year. It's going to be one or the other, I think, when Jimmy decides he's done.
Yeah.
Can't disagree.
And right here, seeing from the comments, Lori says, "I agree with Cone for once."
Oh my God!
Lori's great.
End of the world.
Yeah.
All right, we got some breaking news real quick.
Oh, breaking news.
Breaking news. We've got breaking news.
Bring it up.
know what Parnelli Jones's first name was.
Oh, we do.
Or is.
There we go.
Okay.
Think of a goofy name for a dog.
A goofy name
Maybe
for
now
syllables.
you know why he went by Parnelli, right?
Right.
a goofy. Rover or
Close.
Close.
Got the right starting letter. Rhymes with doofus.
Rufus.
Yep.
Wow, Rufus.
Rhymes with doofus. Oh man, you guys are brutal.
Rufus Jones. I like
Yep.
that.
In no way trying to belittle Parnelli for his efforts as a racer, but that first name sucks, so I understand.
Rufus. All right. Well, we got some random stuff here. We talked to we didn't talk about it yet, but ESPN pretty much rolled out the
random
guillotine,
sports
like you
segment.
said, for on Wednesday morning, and the real hit here, bringing this back to the NASCAR side, Dr. Jerry Punch was among those who were let go. Cone, were you ever able to meet Dr. Jerry?
I knew Dr. Jerry Punch back in a kind of a previous iteration of my racing career.
Mm-hmm.
I was I'm going to get a little personal here, but I was just kind of a lowly internet-based truck series reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So I was covering the third tier NASCAR series for an internet outlet. But I will tell you, he was the play-by-play guy for ESPN at the time, and he could not have been nicer to me. He came up and talked to me every single week. He gave me things, little insider information pieces that he couldn't necessarily use on the air, but he wanted out there. He gave me all kinds of information for a couple of years, and he was just a really super nice guy. And I obviously I wasn't really that surprised that Doc was one of the people that did get terminated, and I hate that term, but that's just what it is. But he'd been there for 30 years. Sadly, that when you've been somewhere for 30 years, chances are you're not necessarily a young person.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate part of the television business is it's a young person's game now. And as much as I would love to see Doc covering IndyCar racing and whatever else he would like to do at ESPN, it's just the way of the world in the TV business is they're going to go with someone younger, and I wasn't particularly surprised. If Doc was interested in coming, still doing anything related to NASCAR, man, personally, just as a fan of Dr. Jerry Punch, I would love for MRN to find a way.
Oh man.
To work him in, because that's where I first heard Dr. Jerry Punch was on MRN, and it would be like, man, those were such great times in my life, and I was a young kid at the time, and it's like, man, if we could find a way to get Doc back on MRN, even if it was just occasionally, whenever he felt like doing it, I want to come and cover the race at Darlington. I mean, that would be phenomenal to me. But I also have a feeling, after 30 years, he might be this. Well, I'm heading to the beach, boys. It's been real. It's been fun. But you can find me at the beach from now on. So, whatever he would like to do, I hope somebody finds a way to help make it happen. But if he decides to call it a career, I would hold no grudge. I mean, he certainly has put in the time and is one of the most legendary broadcasters in this deal. And if he calls it a day, he's got my full support.
Yeah, he'll land on his feet, whether it's wherever he wants to go or wherever he ends up in terms of on the beach or anything else. And I've only ever heard great things about him.
Well, let's not forget he was a practicing medical doctor in addition to being in the media.
Yeah. All that stuff.
That's what this is all about. I mean, when you are facing some down times or whatever, and you start hearing, it was like the same thing with Steve Burns. You know, when Steve was sick and in the last couple of weeks of his life, you know, when we all kind of knew the inevitable was going to be coming, you never heard anybody say anything bad about Steve Burns. And that is that's when you know you've lived a good life, man. It's not how much stuff you have. It's not how much money you have. It's when you hear from hundreds of people and they all say really good things. Dr. Jerry Punch is in the same boat. Just a super nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you remember the first time you saw Jerry Punch pop up on your radar?
No.
I can.
Oh, yeah?
Days of Thunder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Good call.
I think for me it was probably 1986-ish, probably. Just listening to races on MRN and, you know, occasionally seeing them on TV or whatnot. But it was probably the mid-'80s for me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So we ought to talk about this weekend, tear it down a little bit here. We
had a race this past weekend?
Yeah, there was, despite our best efforts of going and sitting in the rain and sitting in more rain.
You guys were there, so it's all your fault.
I
absolutely
agree, 100%.
Absolutely. We bring the rain.
Drink, y'all, 100%. First one of the show. Holy cow, how did we get this far?
I don't know. 3 out of the last 4 races that we've been to rained
Yeah,
out?
if you guys are planning on coming to Eldora, change your plans now because I ain't dealing with this BS.
We're going. We are going. Those tickets are only like $230. We're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
For Eldora?
Yes. Plane tickets.
No, the plane ticket from Atlanta to Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne's the closest.
Yeah.
Fort Wayne, yep, it's a nice, easy drive.
Before we go too far down the road, huge shout out to the Bosleys, Julie Bosley and Mike Bosley, hosting us. Really, they had you wrote it right here for their tremendous hospitality. We sat in their camper. They were up top on the hill. And we were down at the bottom of the hill, just getting poured rain on. It was cold as crap too, by the way.
Yes.
People don't realize it was like in the low 40s.
49 degrees on Sunday for like a high.
Yeah. So they invited us up there. We went up there. We drank our beer. Then we drank their beer. Then we drank their liquor.
We drank a lot of their liquor. But I tell you what,
at their insistence,
we were force fed a little bit by Julie.
at Julie's insistence. But we sat there and we hung out with them, watched the IndyCar race, then sat there for another 2 or 3 hours. Having a blast at their camper, and we stayed warm and didn't get rained on, and we owe a debt of gratitude to them for how much fun we had, and hopefully they had some fun too. They were saying it was a blast to have some people to hang out with, so hopefully it all worked out both ways. But huge shout out to those folks, and that it just goes to show the community that's here in NASCAR. Once you start meeting people, once you start talking and really just getting to know folks. Everybody's so cool to welcome you with open arms. Awesome stuff, and great to meet those folks.
Without a doubt.
Well, you know what I say about people like that is those with low expectations are rarely disappointed. So I hope they enjoyed their time with us.
Yeah. Well, and a second quick little shout out here. We were 2 campsites down from a bachelor party.
We were.
Who, despite the weather's efforts, it looked like they still had a pretty decent time. Though they had to leave a little early. We got in touch here with Alan Davis.
Alan.
He was not the groom-to-be, but he was kind of running the show, it kind of felt like.
He was doing a bang-up job, too. Those guys were just fine in my book. As far as bachelor party, they weren't overly bro. They were doing their thing. They're having fun, drinking a lot, doing what they ought to be doing, having a blast.
Yep.
So we had a blast singing.
Overly bro is a term that I am going to steal and use all the time.
Gobble it up.
Yeah.
We don't trademark any of our sayings.
Bro.
Overly bro.
Why did you punch that guy? He was overly bro.
Yeah.
I think everybody would just go, okay, yep, sure.
Yeah, I think that's what happened to Jeremy Clements this weekend.
Right.
He was overly bro.
Whoops.
Right.
Bam.
So we did end up having a race. Cone, how about that race?
I heard all of the, hey, Bristol's back, baby. And, I like the fact that they're trying to get things back to, the way it was back in the heyday. But, if you really want to fix Bristol, it's me. you jack the banking back up to 36 degrees, and you throw 8 inches of asphalt down on it, and you go race. That would be the one thing that would instantly fix that racetrack and would make it much more interesting and make it a much more competitive race, is just a layer of asphalt on top of that ugly ass concrete.
That's an interesting perspective. I'm going to be glad to disagree, because we like to disagree with our guests. That's fine. I thought
you're allowed to be wrong, because you're allowed.
Well,
to be
no,
wrong.
yeah,
That's
exactly. And I admit sometimes when I
Goes both ways.
Sometimes I admit it.
Both sides of this conversation
it,
has a hang up on the other person button, so
that's true. Oh, I just thought.
It's your show.
Yeah, I thought we saw a pretty good race, but I mean, I understand. I understand there's perspective that wants to see something a little bit different than what we saw. I can't help but snicker a little bit when I see guys that like to post the historical stuff, like a 4-car race to the finish for 9 laps, and they're all running the high line.
I posted that, boys. Come on.
Oh, that was you.
Was that you?
Now Sherwin's embarrassed.
Not really, but they were running the high line. I mean,
they were, but it's. I don't think, to me, it's not the high line. I don't care where the groove is. I mean, I go to races at Lucas Oil Raceway, formerly known as IRP. They run the high line there. They run the high line at Winchester and Salem. I think the problem that I have, and it's not that it's side by side racing, it's that we go to Bristol now, and there are races sometimes where nothing happens. Okay, and I don't like. I don't need to see a race with 19 cautions and they're all for wrecks and everybody's, junked their stuff and everybody's pissed off at everybody else. But, we need to have races where things happen. Same thing at Dover. I love Dover, the Monster Mile, the toughest racetrack that, that was a man-eater back in the day. We've gone to Dover for 4 or 5 years in a row and nothing has happened. Give me something. I love the fact that you can race side by side and, there's 3 or 4 different grooves and that's great, but we need stuff to happen. And, we did see some stuff happen the other day, which was great. I love the fact that you had a couple of really, good grooves. That was great too. But, the reason that I posted, that race that you're disparaging so much, guys, bastards. But
Sherwin speaks.
I did not disparage
the
race.
Sherwin speaks for himself.
I snickered at the line they were running.
I'm kidding. The line they were running was. And the funny thing is that was the first race where they ever ran up there, and it was because they put some sealer on the racetrack that didn't really work.
That's funny.
Things happen in that race, man. I mean, you had somebody, wrecking somebody on the last lap, and you had a photo finish. Just give me something. It doesn't have to be that. Just give it just something. I mean, what are we going to remember this race for?
Jimmy Johnson getting 2 in a row.
I don't think you'll even remember it for that.
Oh, Larson pissing another one away.
Oh, there's that.
Yeah, it'll be the race that happened right before Junior retired. That's going to be that's what it'll be.
Well, yeah.
Well, so to your point on that, because you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We're not going to remember this race 10 weeks from now. But the thing is, how many races a year can we actually have fall in, slide into that folder of, I will always remember this race for this reason? We can't possibly have more than 4 or 5 of those a year.
Unless you were there, it's probably not a race that you're going to remember. I think the people who were there will probably remember it for a various number of reasons. Mm-hmm. I can remember throwaway Michigan races, that had like 2 cautions, both for debris.
Yeah, that's
back in the
Atlanta. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, and there were like 3 cars on the lead, and, but I can remember going those because I was there. But no one else remembers it. This is something that you're just not going to remember it. I think that is the one thing that I think people are upset about is because for 15 years Bristol was always one of those races they remember. Remember when Ward Burton tried to throw his helmet through Junior's window and said he would have shot him if he had a gun, and I mean there was always something happening at Bristol. And then we went to this new configuration, and the racing was really good, but nothing happened. Mm-hmm. So they've got to find the balance, and that's the thing that I really give Marcus Smith a ton of credit, is that every time we go there, he's trying something. He knows what people want, and he's trying to give it to them. It's just a matter of finding it.
Yep. Is Jimmy Johnson back?
Did he ever go? Where did he go?
I make fun of stuff you just see. It is the context of, number one, there's I would say 40% trolls on Twitter, and number two,
I am one of them.
There's 40% trolls in the media.
Right,
click hunters are trolls.
Yeah. Looking for that. I don't even think I didn't even ask you the question, or didn't even bring up the question about we hear about people arguing about Junior for the Hall of Fame. I think that goes right next to Jimmy Johnson is back or whatever. You're talking about the reigning champion who won a race already this year. Is he back?
Yeah. Where did he go? Where did he go?
Yeah, what are we talking about? Where's he been for 3 months? I don't know.
And what is this team's MO been for the past 12 years? This is how they operate.
Champions.
They're champions, and there's a reason why they're champions, because they don't. Chad Knaus has a system, guys.
Yep.
Do they go out and try to win every race? Yeah, they do. I mean, Jimmy's won the Daytona 500. He's won every race on the schedule probably at least once. But, they really don't start focusing on what they need to focus until you get to, that part of the schedule that is important for those final 10. And how many racetracks have we gone to right now that are in the final 10?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where those guys have always put all of their focus. It's like that mid-season, whenever you go to a potential chase track or that final half of the regular season, that's when they really start to click. And yeah, come on, guys, Jimmy's not going anywhere. It's a 7-time champion, for crying out loud. And the defending champion.
Right. And they've got the whole package. That's the biggest thing. I was sitting there, I was riding home the other day, and I was thinking, just because I think of random podcast topics, and I think who are the best drivers in the series right now, and especially where they are in terms of being hot right now or being the next big, whatever it is. And I didn't really have Jimmy as a driver in my top 5, and then I went, well, hell, he's won 2 races already. Well, I got to put Jimmy in. Now I have to rethink everything. But for me, they've got the whole package. They've got the crew chief. They've got the strategy. They've certainly got the owner. They've got the driver. They've got 90% in all of those categories. Where if you've got a driver that's 100% and then a crew that's 40, you're going to have some issues.
Yeah.
So
I always kind of wonder where Jimmy himself, and he is one of the most modest guys you will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jimmy is never going to be the guy that toots his own horn, and I give him the utmost respect for that. But how he compares himself talent-wise with some of the other great drivers, because obviously the wins. You are never going to convince me that he's not one of the all-time greats just based on the stats alone.
Yep,
Rushmore.
Yeah, Rushmore is a good way to put it.
You're going to argue with me on this one?
I don't know.
No. I said Rushmore.
I think
he's on the NASCAR Rushmore.
Yeah. But I think what's interesting with Jimmy Johnson is that I don't think he is like an Earnhardt style of guy. He's not somebody that gets in there and roughs people up. Jimmy is he's like a human computer that has been programmed by Chad Knaus to do exactly what it is that he has done. When I hear somebody say hit your marks in relation to driving a race car, I think Jimmy Johnson, he is the master at repeatedly hitting your marks. And that's what makes him so good, is that he can just do it time and time and time and time again.
You ever miss, I don't know, Cone, if you have to miss a race every great once in a while, or there's probably 2 or 3 a year that I'm not able to watch. And you hear, and you're not even able to record it or whatever, maybe on vacation or wherever you are, and you come back and you hear, well, Jimmy Johnson won. You're like, oh, okay, of course he did. Duh.
Yeah,
you don't even go, oh, wow, Jimmy Johnson, no kidding. It's, oh, Jimmy won.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that, he kind of thinks that too. I mean, I used to laugh at like the Jeff Gordon victory celebrations. It's like he'd come across the start finish line and you'd hear the in-car audio and he'd be like, "Woo!" And you're like,
Woo.
"Yeah, he's even getting tired of this." Okay. And I'm like, Jimmy, do you ever get tired of it? And I don't think he does. I mean, it's obviously something he's used to by now, but I still can. I mean, like when he won the championship last year, you could hear that excitement in his voice when he's like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes."
Yep.
I mean, it's something that I think it really continues to drive him. And I was talking with another friend of mine earlier this afternoon, because we were talking about the Earnhardt retirement and how it's a surprise and it's not really a surprise, but when's Jimmy going to step away? And is Jimmy still going to be around in 2020 as a driver? That's 3.5 seasons from now. And I think our consensus is he probably won't be. And I even think, like, if he wins the 2017 championship, I'd say it's 50-50 that he just calls it a day right then and there.
Yeah.
I'm stronger than 50-50.
If he wins the championship?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no way to tell. There's no way.
Well, we'll just have to get there. That's it.
Yeah.
Here's the reason why I would say that I'm on. If he wins the championship this year, and we know what that means is he will almost certainly tie Cale Yarborough and eclipse him, tie Bobby and Darrell, and probably go to 85. You're probably going to have to win at least 3 more races to win this championship if you're Jimmy Johnson. So at that point, he's set himself in a pretty special place on the totem pole. And with the eighth, he moves himself even further to the front of the line. And Jimmy, being what he is as a competitor, he has outlets for that competition desire. It doesn't have to be in a race car. It can be on a bike, swimming, or running in a triathlon. So he has those outlets.
Okay.
And I think that the fact that he is now spending more time in Colorado, didn't even enroll his kids in school out in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Not shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I think his kids go to school in Colorado now. So that is like a big clue to me, too. It's like, I don't think he would be living in Colorado if he was like planning another 10 years as the driver of the 40.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know. I could see Chad coming up to him being like, all right, let's do one more. Let's call it.
Blow it out together.
Yeah, blow it out. Go crazy. And then win 10 races next year. Something wacko.
Right. And blow up 20 times.
And blow up 20 times. Yep.
Yeah, so reverting back really quickly, just to kind of tie a nice little bow on that, what I would say about Jimmy and Chad is that I think Chad is so good at psychology, along with the engineering and the knowledge of the car, that when we see periods of time where Jimmy doesn't win or even doesn't finish well, it's because Chad he's got something he wants to try, and he's not telling Jimmy what he's up to, and he's just saying, because you can hear Chad on the radio, he'll say, "Look, I need 2 more tenths." Because the only way I'm going to learn anything about what he's not saying is the only way I'm going to learn about this part that I think is awesome is if you push it to the edge, almost spinning out. And I think you need to go 2 tenths faster. And Jimmy's like, "Well, damn it, I'll try. I'll give it a go."
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funniest thing, and I know that Jimmy is probably in the loop as much as he needs to be. The funniest thing it's so cliche at this point, but that video where Knaus leans in the window and says, "Hey, buddy, if we win, I need you to crack the back."
Yep.
And Jimmy's like looking at him going, "What the living are you talking about? I can do what?" So you're exactly right. I mean, he doesn't tell him everything he's up to. I mean, you think Jimmy knew that he was going to tell him he's going to wreck the car after you win? Yeah, do a burnout and back it in the fence. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Oh, that was so classic. I mean, just the look on his face, you could kind of see he's like giving him the side eye. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, but I think that's what makes those two so great is that, Chad is a great motivator for Jimmy. I don't know that he would be Could you have plugged Chad Knaus in with Jeff Gordon and had the same results? I don't know that you could have. I think that this is truly one of those things where these two were only going to be successful together, and the fact that it worked is just it's like a bolt of lightning. It really is.
Yeah, and I wonder on a smaller scale, obviously now, at least to this point, are Paul Wolf and Brad Keselowski not the same thing?
Ooh,
They're getting there.
ooh,
Getting there. Yeah.
could be.
I agree.
Yep. So we've got questions from the PTM posse. We've got a few of them here, so maybe we'll do sort of a lightning round thing.
Rapid fire.
Rapid
None
fire.
From Ashley.
What's that?
None from Ashley. None from Ashley, right?
She's got one at the end, as always. We'll save it for that.
I told you we were going to get messy at the end of this thing.
All right, little lightning round here. Closet NASCAR fan at Closet NASCAR fan says, "What do owners and sponsors need to do to keep NASCAR sustainable? Not meaning green, but where teams can operate without $ Texas." Which
I added that. He said
sure.
lots of money, and
Lots of money.
That's our sign for that's a crap load
That's
of
a
money.
lot of money. Is $ Texas. Cone, take it away.
Boy, we could spend another 5 hours talking about this. Just the short answer is they've got to find a way to cut expenses. And right now, the biggest expense these teams have is people. I mean, I don't think it should take 600 people to run a race team. And I know that's not going to be popular with the people who are working in the sport, so to speak. But,
Yeah.
I think when you're looking long term, it's got to right size everything in this industry. And some of these race teams are so big right now and they're spending so much money. It just makes it hard for stewards to be able to come in and get that return on their investment. I mean, if you could tell Target, hey, we'll give you everything that we're giving you right now, but we'll do it for half the price, do you think that they would consider staying on with Kyle Larson next year? I do.
Hell yes.
We've got to find a way to do that. We really do, and we need to do it quickly.
Sherwin, any extras onto that?
No, only thing I would add is actually not even related to the question is what Cone's comment about not being you can't be friends with every faction of NASCAR, right? So sometimes we're going to disagree with drivers, we're going to disagree with Cone, we're going to disagree with media, we're going to disagree with teams. So that's just part of this.
Yep. I would say,
and here's the other thing, and I'm going to follow this up. Is I don't want anybody in NASCAR to lose their job, man. I know so many great people, hundreds and hundreds of people, and I love them all, man. I don't want anybody to be out of a job. I don't want anybody to be dealing with that. But the fact of the matter is that at some point in time we are going to have to right size this thing, and it's going to be a really hard thing to do, and it's. But for the overall health of what we all love, it's something that needs to be done.
Yep.
100%.
And we've had Tommy Joe on here, and he has we called it "Spit and Fire with Tommy Joe" was the name of the episode, and I think that really underscores a lot of and he broke it down for us, which is really cool. Talking about from the expenses that a track has to pay, why we can't go to new tracks, to the expenses that the driver is incurring and the team is incurring, and all that stuff. So very very poignant stuff there.
I worked at Mansfield Motorsports Park back in the day when we brought trucks there for the first time back in 2004. And if you guys knew how much money we had to spend just to get that track up to code, to have the conversation about bringing a truck race there, your heads would, and that's in addition to the sanction fee and bringing in rental grandstands and hiring people to come and do this, that, and the other, and porta johns and. I mean, it's really, really expensive to do this.
NASCAR Live IT at NASCAR Live ITA says, Cone, were you surprised to see so many Italian NASCAR fans stalking you during the Vegas race? I'm not sure what that's in.
He had a link
that story.
that I didn't know how to add to this.
So. Oh, didn't know how to add to it.
Yeah, no, there were a ton of NASCAR fans chatting with me during the Vegas weekend, and you know what, I was a little surprised, but now that I think about it, I'm not, because those Italians are big into motorsport. So it was really cool to see. And awesome. And I know NASCAR's got a pretty big footprint over in Europe these days, so it was really cool.
Very cool. Let's see, Frank Villat at Frank Villat, former guest on the show and future guest on the show, hopefully.
Likely.
If you could pick anyone, I love this question. If you could pick anyone, which ARCA track would be your choice to host a cup race? after we've already talked about, the fact that adding a different,
put some unicorn dust on it or whatever. Let's just say which surface configuration do you like the most for a cup race?
I would tell you right now, I think it would be a toss-up between where I'm going on Sunday, Salem Speedway, and its sister track, Winchester Speedway. Both of those are ultra-high banked, ultra-fast half miles. I mean, they are what everybody thinks Bristol was. They're really high banked, really fast, really wicked, and really cool.
That's awesome.
I had two here as well because there's two things that I love and want more of: more short tracks and more road courses. And I said Nashville Fairgrounds for short track.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And road course. Let's go to Road America, buddy.
Yeah. Let's do it. Or DuQuoin and Springfield. Dirt miles. Come on.
Sherwin?
Come on.
I don't have anything to add. I'd like to see us back at Milwaukee Mile at some point.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Let's get Milwaukee back on the truck schedule.
Yeah. Good question. Good question there from Frank. Travis Campbell at Travis C_48. Welcome back to the PTM Posse, Mr. Travis. Do you buy products? This is funny. Do you buy products based on if they're a sponsor in NASCAR or not? I think that's very, very yes for me.
It is yes for me, but it's harder to do now than it used to be because so many products that used to be sponsors haven't been, are no longer sponsors.
Yeah,
consumables.
And there are sponsors that, offer products and services that maybe I would love to have access to, but I just don't, like Cessna. I mean, unless someone wants to throw me a jet,
throw you a plane.
Yeah, but I do try to do that. That's the only way that those companies know that this investment works is to go in and support them and try to let them know, hey, I'm doing this because of your commitment to the sport. I always try to do that when someone makes an announcement that they're coming into the sport, as a sponsor or a partner. I try to send them a note to thank them. Hey, I appreciate you supporting this deal because without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this, and everybody should do that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I ain't about to build like a shared computing server farm, so I probably don't need Eris. But I might drink a Busch Light.
That's one of the or some of the weird ones now that like Science Logic was with Ryan Ellis last year, and I was like, I think on the podcast we said I like both those things, science and logic, but I don't know what to do with it, but promote it. Funny thing is, in my job, we work with Eris quite often, but it's like, and I try to get them to give me tickets to go, do stuff, and they're a bunch of nerds. They don't know what they don't even know that they sponsor.
I'll figure out how to be a Suarez fan.
Yeah, right. So,
a lot of people don't understand that. The sponsorships that we see in the cup level it's great that they are like reaching the millions of people who are at home watching. But really what's driving all of these sponsorships are the B2B partnerships behind the scenes. Eris is in here to have access to all of the other companies that work in and around NASCAR racing, because like you said, they do need server farms and they do need, digital modems and all of these other things. And they want to have access to the Targets and to the GMs and the Toyotas and the Fords and all of those big billion-dollar companies that do go through lots of those products. I mean, Target is another excellent example of this. You see all those little vendors on the sides of those Target cars. Those are the people who are actually footing the bill, and they're, hey, we will contribute to this racing program if you give us some really good distribution in your stores. The Menards program is the same way.
Yep.
And I mean, one of the most iconic cars in NASCAR history was the DuPont Automotive Finishes car that Jeff Gordon drove. And that was all about selling paint to Rick Hendrick's collision centers. That's
yeah,
what that was all about. I mean, how many did you ever go and buy any DuPont Automotive
I don't know
refinish?
where I can buy DuPont.
You can't even buy Axalta, so it don't.
You can't buy Axalta. You can't buy.
But
DuPont.
you know what they did? They brought hundreds of people who work in body shops all across the country to those races and said, hey, you know what? The next time you're ordering some paint, why don't you think of us? And that's what race team sponsorships are really all about. And if I can go to the store and buy some Kellogg's or some Cheez-Its or some Gatorade or anything that is a consumer product that is involved in the sport. I'm going to do it, but they're really trying to drive business to those big corporations too.
That's a great point, and I love that explanation and perspective about the B2B stuff that's in here that might confuse some folks up.
Well, Pennzoil and Penske, I mean that's the one that stands out, just like smacks you in the face.
Yeah,
he's got a whole
and think about
rental trucking industry.
Think about this, guys. Mm-hmm. How many different oil partners has Roger Penske had as a sponsor over the course of the last 15 years?
Well, he had Mobil before.
That's
SHR.
Right.
And Valvoline and all, or.
He is all about that oil company that will spend the most money to be in those Penske automotive dealerships. That's what it's all about.
Let's take it to Richmond then. Going up next week to the Sherwin. You wrote it the fastest little D oval around with that goofy start finish line down by turn 4, but fast track there. We've had some pretty good races at Richmond recently.
Hell yeah, we have.
But I don't know what else to say there. You ready to do some picks?
Yeah, we might as well. I mean, they finally figured out. Well, they didn't finally figure out. They figured out that this is probably going to be a better race with the sun out.
Yep.
Which that at this point that's indisputable. There are 3 or 4, maybe even 4.5 lines when the sun's out there. Yeah. There's 1 when it's dark.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Universally agreed upon there.
My guy busted a power steering pump at Bristol, so I guarantee I didn't win that.
True. And who did I pick? I remember. Oh, Kenseth. I have no idea where he finished.
Ahead of my guy.
Probably.
I think top 10.
Slightly ahead. Oh, did he? Because he was battling for that. So we'll let our guest go first. Mr. Cohn, who you got for Richmond?
I'm not a really good prognosticator. I'm going to just tell you who I would like to see win, and that's my buddy Eric Jones.
Okay.
He's really been running really, really strong. He's a good dude. He's run well there in the past in the Xfinity car, and I'm going to say he's going to shock everybody and take the win there this weekend.
Love it. I'll go ahead, Sherwin.
Kansas finished 4th.
4th. Wow. He was lapped down for a while. That's crazy. So 3 Yodas in a row right now at Richmond. I believe that was Hamlin, Carl, and Kenseth. So I'm just going to pile one more on top of it and stick with the Gibbs theme here a little bit and go with Kyle Busch to win this Richmond. And he hasn't had a couple of good days recently. So maybe wipes off the sweat off the brow a little bit and pulls himself up by his bootstraps.
Get all bootstrappy, Kyle. Get all bootstrappy, baby.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look for somebody to throw a match in the bag of fireworks. And so I'm going to pick Dale Earnhardt Jr., who is very good at Richmond.
Well, wouldn't this be like, I mean, there would be a collective, I don't know what to call it, inappropriate stuff for how happy the fan base would be.
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. It would... It would be very exciting
fluids.
Right.
Babies are going to be born in January early February. Right. When I was born.
Woo! Babies.
There you go. Did Dale Jr. win at Richmond?
Be a need for some old sweat socks. That's for sure.
Yeah. That brings us to the finale.
All right, here's the ditch.
Here it is.
Coming at you.
Ashley J. Stang asked us.
Oh, no.
Strange with Stang is the segment.
She says...
The BS queen has a question for me, huh?
She says the baristas at Starbucks are insanely irritated when somebody orders a unicorn frappuccino. I didn't even know that was like...
I don't know.
I don't even know what that is. Is it with sprinkles or like...
It's purple and blue and yellow.
Oh, my gosh.
It has a light source. I don't know.
So, funny story, our esteemed producer, the Frizz 11, and my wife, she used to work at a Starbucks, and she used to tell me Frappuccinos was the worst thing to make. This was 12 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe. Just as a college job, she worked at Starbucks. She said, "I hate making." It was 15, maybe 20, dude. But she says, or Ashley J. Stank says she knows from experience as well that even though people think it looks like so much fun to make, Frappuccinos suck ass to make, evidently. So, what is a part of your job that people think look really fun, and the best job ever, but you could for sure do without and will dread indefinitely.
Dealing with Ashley J. Stange. That's the number one. That drives me crazy.
That's a part of your job.
Yes. Oh my God. She's a no. Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, just on a personal level, I've done a lot of different things in racing, and there isn't a single part of it that I don't enjoy. It is really, really cool. I mean, there are times where, I guess you're having a bad day and you're maybe not as into it as you should be, but any time that I get to go to the racetrack and watch race cars go around in circles, or anytime I'm talking to people about cars going around in circles, or, it's just the whole thing. It's just great. Yeah, there are some topics that I maybe not enjoy as much as some others, but there isn't really anything that I don't enjoy about working in this deal. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to piss some people off and maybe get some hate mail from one of your former guests on this one, but it's a privilege to do it. It really is. There are tens of thousands of people who would love to work in this deal, and the number of people who actually get to do it is very, very small. And to me, that is the definition of a privilege, and it's an honor to be able to do it at any level, at any time. And when the time comes to write my epitaph, I hope that it's kind of similar to what people said about Steve Burns. He was a good dude. He really loved the sport, and he loved the people who were in and around it. And yeah, I get that I'm kind of an asshole sometimes, but. He
had some fun.
It happens.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
It's meant to be in good fun, and I hope that's how people take it.
That's a great answer, and it's hard to even follow that up. Sherwin, I would say, and this almost digs at you a little bit, because my company is really flexible in terms of, like, if I need to work from home or something, like, I can do that whenever I want. And I know Sherwin actually, he works from his home office, but I get to work from home whenever I want, but you go a few days or like a week or 2 weeks working from home, and it's not something that I do on the reg, meaning that I'm not like, just my life isn't planned around working from home for 2 weeks in a row. So if I do it, I become a piece of crap, and like I don't go outside I'll be like, crap, it's been 3 days since I've been outside. I need to do something different. This is bad. So I would say working from home from the outside looks like, oh, this guy's got so much flexibility, he gets to do, and then next thing you know, I'm like, I haven't showered in a couple days, I haven't been outside in 3, I need to actually interact with people.
That's like me when I'm on a porn binge, I think.
That's a hell of a binge.
Dude, he hasn't left the house in 3 days. What's he doing? Oh, my God. Oh, don't come in here, people. Leave me alone.
Sherwin?
So since you already took the work from home thing, I'll take the travel to an interesting place thing.
Okay.
So I went to Costa Rica a few months ago, and everybody's like, oh, my God, Costa Rica is so awesome. And I'm like, I don't think you understand, a-hole, what it means for me to go to Costa Rica. I'm flying into the mountain.
Tell us.
I'm getting a dangerous ride to a hotel. I'm spending all day in a mill. And I'm flying home the next day. I didn't go to Costa Rica. I was in a place on a map in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
You were taken to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
So
people are going, oh, Costa Rica, that must be awesome. You're like, it must be. I'm sure it is.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
I want to know from Ashley what the worst part of her job dealing with hot dogs is.
Ooh.
Oh, snap.
Boom.
She is the hot dog queen. She is the Abe Froman.
Oh, man.
It's the world. The hot dog queen of Chicago.
Oh, boy.
Well,
that thing better not have, like, poppy seed loaf and...
Yeah. I mean, pickles on
pickled
a hot dog.
Peppers and stuff.
On that note, I think, or as they say on, Top Gear, on that bombshell. Let's close this one out. Mr. Cohn, give us the last word, man. Tell us, it's not like our reach is going to get you 1,000 more followers or nothing.
It's not? What the hell am I
Yeah, what are you doing? Wait, I was promised.
You may have wasted the last hour and a half.
I had to do math.
That's
I had
right.
to take a question from Ashley, and now I got to not even getting any followers out of this.
And we didn't take the brown M&Ms out of the bowl either.
No, we did not.
You didn't even read my rider. You guys suck. I guess my final thought, and I've been laughing in my head about this. The retirement of Dale Jr. is going to be really rough on me for one reason. And it's like I've got to find a whole new fan base to troll during the first break. It's like, people don't understand that. Yeah, the Cone account is basically there to entertain me, and the fact that anybody else gets any enjoyment out of it at all is just a bonus. And whenever they go to commercial under green flag for the first time, and oh no, Dale Jr.'s in the wall, and getting all those people who are just all fired up about it that makes my whole day. And I'm gonna have to find another gullible fan base, I guess.
I love it.
I mean, Kyle Busch, could I do that with him? I don't think so. Chase Elliott, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, probably.
Could be. And Sherwin will probably block you and everybody.
I'm wearing a Chase Elliott hat.
It's true.
But that's what makes it so funny. It's like, people think that I'm like this big Dale Jr. hater, and it's like, really, people, I'm a huge Dale Jr. fan, but it's the fact that you people are so psycho about it. That's what makes it funny. Oh my God, you're gonna burn in hell! You made a joke about hell.
Well, if you make fun of Redneck Jesus, you will burn in redneck hell.
Yeah.
You will burn in hell making fun of Redneck Jesus, son.
Tell you what, with that, y'all, Cone, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope we ain't run you off, and maybe you'll come see us again sometime.
I won't block you guys for a while.
Sweet.
We've been given a reprieve for at least a little while.
Another week, anyhow.
One more week. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been an absolute blast, y'all. You know where to find us at PTM Podcast on Twitter. And hey, guess what? Go and subscribe on iTunes. Subscribe on YouTube. It's all there. Rate us. Give us that little like button, that little thumbs up deal. Same Twitter handle is also on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You can find us all over the doggone place. And you know where to find me. I'm Tailgate Mayor at Tailgate Mayor.
And I'm Pregame Engineer at Pregame ENG.
Visit us patreon.com/PETM and join the PETM posse. Get that sticker, get that koozie.
Yeah, www.petmpodcast.com.
It's all over the place, y'all. I don't know what else to say other than thank you, Cone. Cone was awesome.
Good times.
Good times with Cone.
Great oldies.
Fox 97.
Fox 97.
We will talk to y'all next week. Skoo!
Thumbs up.
There it is. Cone, you still there?
I'm still here, guys.
Oh, you're the man. Man,
that was fun.
Appreciate it so much. That was a blast to do.
Great show. You guys do a really nice job.
I appreciate that.
Thank you,
man. That's it takes 97 episodes to get to where we're even slightly confident about what we're doing.
You guys do a really nice job. I tend to talk over people quite a bit, and you guys held your own, which with a loudmouth like me is really saying something. So no, you guys do a great job. It's good content, good questions, good humor, really good. I'll make a point to listen to some of these.
Hey,
they're all up online.
All of them. Every one of them's on YouTube. Every one of them's on iTunes, and
it's hard to find all
on our website too. Yeah, PTMpodcast.com.
Because iTunes only refreshes the 10, so you have to teach me how to find the rest.
Yeah, just go to the website. Go to PTMpodcast.com and you'll see all of them.
PTMpodcast.com has everything.
I will definitely.
There's a new thing in Podbean that there's 2 pages in Podbean. Have you noticed this, Rusty? Did you mess around with this? Is this something you did?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, so there's PTM Racing Podcast in Podbean, and then there's the official PTM Racing Podcast.
Oh.
But they're 2 different types of pages.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody... Or one of them's automatic, like somebody it created because there was a robot creating them.
Okay. So we got botted. Is that what
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Every single episode is available through our website, streaming through, hosted at Podbean.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't go back and listen to 97 of them.
I wouldn't go back and listen to episode 97 in particular. But,
Now you sound like NASCAR captain.
But so I mean, but you can go back in time. Some people have it set up to where they're all visible. Like today, I was having a conversation with, or actually, mostly it was yesterday, talking about like people were like, "Yeah, Larson should go to the 88," and it's like I mean, it's just really not likely that's going to happen.
It's not.
And so I went to digging because I listen to everything Nate Ryan does, and I had to go all the way back to September. And he's like on episode 70-something. It was episode 39. And I posted that, and I said, this, for those of you who are getting mad at me or frustrated with me or confused by why I'm saying I think there's zero chance Larson goes to Hendrick, this is it. And it was that whole episode where Larson talked about the loyalty that Chip showed him.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And he's if he moves, it's going to be because someone writes him a massive check.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's not enough money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an FU money check. We joke about FU money all the time. Like, I don't have to answer to your crap money. And nobody has that money in NASCAR.
Yeah.
No one does right now.
Yeah, not anymore, especially.
Nope, not anymore.
Well, man, this has been a blast. Thanks so much. I know it's been an hour and a half or something. We've had so much fun. I'm going to shut down the live portion of this. Thank y'all, everybody, for joining.
Woo! Redneck noise.
Excellent.